Hello and welcome to this video orientation and tutorial about Blender and the online instructional materials available to the teachers and instructional support staff here in the school district of Palm Beach County. During our time together on this video, we'll have an opportunity to get a general overview, an introduction or reintroduction to the Blender platform. We'll discuss a little bit about how Blender came to be and the benefits the district finds by using Blender. We'll walk through the key elements of Blender navigation and use, and we'll wrap it up by discussing a number of the instructional materials, where the information can be found and how you can access those materials for your adopted courses. Blender, in the most general sense, could be considered a digital course companion for teachers. It's been set up to be the first place to look for great resources and guidance in teaching most of the course subjects and many peripheral courses here in the district. And Blender wouldn't be possible without the efforts of many departments within the district, as well as our partnerships with the instructional materials companies that we do business with. One of the primary goals of Blender is to provide our users with the most direct access to the resources that they need to teach and learn. This idea came about many years ago and has been developed over the last decade. The technology and the resources have changed, but that vision of connecting our users with the content has never wavered and will continue long into the future. To try and ensure that that district vision stays true and up to date for our teachers and students' needs, it's always been important to gather ongoing feedback, and we'll have an opportunity later on in the presentation for you to see where you can share your constructive criticism and feedback in a way that will help steer Blender forward in a way that meets the ever-evolving needs of our teachers and students. While the ultimate goal of Blender is obviously to support every individual teacher in their individual classrooms with each of their individual students, it's important to remember the challenges that we all face working in such a large district. If you just take a moment and think about the number of students that we're trying to meet on a daily basis, coming to us from all different environments, speaking different languages, having different challenges, both personal and academic. It's no small task that our teachers are faced with. So a lot of thought goes into the development of Blender to try and ensure that it's equally accessible and valuable for all the various stakeholders around the district. So through all this vision and the feedback and the work of the curriculum teams, what we've done over this past decade or so is really build what we call a learning content repository, or the primary collection of instructional materials to be used here in the school district of Palm Beach County. Here we'll discuss a little bit about why it was built this way and why we think it's well worth your time to understand how to find and use the resources curated for you in Blender. As we said, the goal is to help every individual teacher, every individual student, and every individual classroom and scenario. The advent of new technologies and strategies have sometimes helped and sometimes hindered in that ability to meet every individual's need, but this challenge has undoubtedly become more complex over the years. Not only do our teachers have to face the technological challenges that these new blended learning environments pose, they also have to make sure that they're considering using the right materials in ways that keep the students engaged and maintain the academic momentum in whatever situations arise. So how does a teacher stay focused and work through all these challenges and make the right decisions? The district contends that if you follow the advice of Dr. Marzano, keeping the teachers focused on what to teach, assuring that they're covering the appropriate content at the appropriate times, and always checking in and truly understanding and acting on all available student performance data will lead to the best outcomes. Dr. Marzano's research also contends that focusing on Making sure that you are providing the students the most opportunity to learn, the most time on task, is also going to give you the most successful results. So how does a teacher stay focused on these important ideas and make sure that they're giving their students the appropriate time to engage with their content if, according to some studies, teachers are spending 12 hours a week just looking for resources? That is how Blender can be most helpful. The Blender platform provides an opportunity for the district's curricular leadership teams to find, evaluate, and truly curate vetted and viable instructional resources that can be placed along scope and sequences and aligned to the instructional needs throughout the year. Of course, even these curated resources need to be continually reworked and reviewed for relevancy and effectiveness, and now more than ever the curriculum leadership teams are expanding the opportunities and the options that they're presenting in Blender to support both the new opportunities that new technology like the interactive flat panels present, as well as the challenges that we're all facing in meeting the learning needs of our students in these trying times. Blender also allows the district to pull resources from a variety of sources and provide them with no barrier to access for the teachers. Many of the links found within Blenders will require no additional sign-ins and function as single sign-on or other easy methods of access. This ease of access allows teachers, and importantly instructional support staff, and in many cases even our substitute teachers, easy access for the purposes of planning and deciding on what resources are just right for the individual classroom and student needs. In addition to providing the teachers access to their aligned materials along the way, Blender also serves as a way for teachers to get direct access to some of their key performance data through direct links placed appropriately throughout Blender. This can be a huge time savings for teachers who want to get a quick glance at how their students have been performing on the key district provided assessments as they begin their planning for their reteaching and enrichment. And so for all core courses and many elective courses, when used as designed, teachers should be able to log into Blender, find the courses that they're teaching. They'll be provided their scope and sequence and the breakdown of the course. As they continue through their courses throughout the year, they'll find their resources and the links to the appropriate assessments throughout the year. And providing roughly the same level of access to the instructional support teams at schools and the instructional staff should open up the opportunity for effective PLC and group discussions to do common planning and help determine the next best steps for the students. So when you combine all the curated and provided resources alongside the instructional insight that the curriculum leadership teams provided, add in the fact that there's built-in professional development, ESE, ESOL, and other ancillary support courses, hopefully you can see that Blender provides an opportunity for teachers to save tons of time and gain instructional guidance as they're doing their professional development and planning purposes. All in all, we hope that you'll find that Blender is a valuable tool that helps you be more efficient, and you recognize it as a tool that you can use every day at every stage of your instructional cycle. In the next portion of the videos, we're going to take a walk through the key elements of Blender navigation and orient you to how you can locate, find, and access the resources that are most relevant to you. As mentioned, access to Blender is provided to all teachers scheduled to teach classes, as well as the instructional support staff at both schools and the district level, as well as our substitute teachers. And access to Blender should be as simple as finding the tile on your portal. As a brand new employee, the first time you go to Portal, you may not encounter the Blender tile automatically. Fixing this is as simple as searching for Blender or clicking into the Instructional tab. Once you've located the Blender tile, we strongly recommend right-clicking on the tile and adding it to your favorites. Once you've favorited the Blender tile, it should always be there for you in your favorites. Also, if you've been to Blender recently, it will appear in your Recents section as well. Once you've clicked on the Blender tile, you should arrive on the home page for your Blender experience. Here we're seeing the home page of a teacher who's assigned to teach some classes. Since Blender does provide a personalized experience, some of the things you see by default will be based on a teaching schedule. And for teachers with no specific scheduled classes, we'll go over the steps to find the courses and add them to your home page for yourself. For the next few sections, we are going to be discussing the home page of Blender. Anytime you navigate away from it, you can always click back on home to get there. First, we're going to focus on the My Courses, the My Resources, and eventually we'll be discussing the announcements. Again, here we see a home page of a teacher who's assigned to teach some courses. If it's very early in the year, or you have recent course changes, or you are not an assigned teacher to teach courses, you can still add courses to your home page by either managing the My Courses or clicking directly into the course catalog. Either of those pathways will get you to the full listing of all the published courses that are available to you. When you scroll down on this list of courses, you'll see there's many courses that span elementary, middle, high school, as well as some district level support courses. If you'd like to refine what you see, you can toggle on and off any combination of these filters. You can sort by school levels, you can look for specific grade levels, or you can even search for specific subject area courses. Again, all the courses you see here are openly accessible to everyone. Only the assigned teachers of records are going to get textbook access and a few other things. Another way to look for courses, as you see here, is to do a keyword search. Here I've shown you how to look for the district textbook course that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on in this video. Once you've found a course that you're interested in, all it takes to add it to your home page is clicking the star. Once you've clicked on the star, when you return back to your home, you should see the course that you selected. If by chance that course is not in the order you'd like it to appear, you can also control how those tiles on your home page appear by managing or sorting. Once you choose that option, you can drop and drag your courses around, make them alphabetical, or possibly prioritize the ones that you most frequently visit. However you'd like to do it, you can make those changes quite simply, and once you hit save, when you go back home, those courses will appear in that order. Of course, if you are only temporarily going to be needing that course, you might not want it there forever. So all you have to do is follow those same steps to manage all your courses. Find your way back to the course catalog. You'll find your courses starred without filtering, or you can do the same filter, simply uncheck, go home, and then that course is no longer available to you on the home page. The next area of the home page we're going to look at is going to be the My Resources. Although there are several tabs in the My Resources, for this section we're going to be looking at the direct links and the support links. The direct links are going to be direct access to a number of the resources that you might find scattered throughout Blender, and the support resources are the links to the support for those products. If you're not familiar with them, you can click on those products and a few others to get directly to some instructional support and guidance on how to use those resources you might find in Blender. The next tab in the My Resources area that we're going to take a look at is a new addition to Blender and will only work for teachers who are assigned to teach classes that have online textbooks, and that is the My Textbook tab. Now in Blender, if you are assigned to teach a course that has an online textbook, you've got another simple location where you can go and find the textbooks for your assigned books. Simply adding a course to your home page will not give you the online textbook link, but it is a welcome addition for those teachers with the textbooks. One important thing to note is many of those textbook links are single sign-on and will not require a login in any way. If, however, your textbook does still require a login, it is important that you know the teacher convention that you'll need to log in. You can likely find that convention on your Blender course page or on the district textbook course that we're going to discuss later on this video. The last stop on our general overview of the home page is going to be to visit another new and key feature to Blender, and that is the addition of announcements on the home page. Here we see the home page of a teacher who has some assigned classes as well as some courses that they've chosen to favorite from the course catalog. The good news about announcements is that any course, whether it's assigned or you select to add it to your courses, it's now going to have announcements available on the home page. So not only will you get any district level announcements that come out with information, you'll now also get any announcements that are written and published on the courses that you've selected for. Announcements is an easy way for the curriculum groups to reach out and give key information to specific groups of users, and the options are to either click to see an individual announcement, or you can click directly to go to the course that has given you that announcement. If I click to see the announcement on its own, I'll click the title of the announcement, and here you'll see a standalone message with what that information of that particular announcement was. If I go back home, that announcement is still there. If I click to specifically see my course announcements, that same announcement is there. And if I want to go directly on through to that course, I can go ahead and click on the link to that course, and it will take me to that course. Now, as we see, this course, the high school U.S. history course, does have the announcements visible and available to be read right on the course. It is an option for the curriculum writing teams to actually send an announcement and not make it visible on their course if they don't want it to be visible every time you come to the course. So it is possible that on your home page you may see an announcement, click through to the course and make it not available. So it's always recommended to make sure that you read that full announcement. Go ahead and click on the title of the announcement first. It will take you to that full announcement. Then after you've read that, you can click on through to the course following the link in the breadcrumbs as well. So it's a pretty efficient way to get news out to the teachers, and again, you can select which courses you'd like to receive those notifications on, and we're very pleased with this new addition, and the curriculum writing teams are eager to help get the word out. Once you venture off of the home page and start to navigate into your individual courses and start to move around in Blender, it is important to know that there is some variety and variation across the different courses, and especially across the different grade levels. So what we're going to focus on is a few key elements of how the courses are put together and how you can navigate around all of the courses. To get individual support on a specific course page, it's always recommended that you reach out directly to the curriculum teams, and a little bit later in the video I'll show you how you can reach out to those curriculum teams for support directly from Blender. To help you understand what you're going to see when you get in your courses, it is important to understand that all courses, regardless of whether it's an academic course or an ESE or STEM support course or even the textbook support course that we're going to look at in a few minutes, are all constructed in the same basic framework. Every one of the courses in Blender has a course, unit, and lesson section available. It doesn't mean every course is going to have all three of those full of content, but every course is built that same way. So when you log into your course, you are going to always see a course, a units, and a lesson section available and visible on those courses. The nice thing about that navigation is you can always navigate from the top to the bottom of a course by using this left-hand navigation by clicking and exploring these tabs on the left. And then often pages there's going to be navigation through buttons that the curriculum teams have built on these pages. But for this section, it's just important to understand that all of your courses are going to be constructed with a course level. Some of those courses will have units on them, and then of those courses that have units, some of them will have lesson plans, and others will have the content just laid out in those particular unit or course areas. To take a look at just one example of how the navigations for your course might look, we'll take a look in the 01 Mathematics course for this year. You can see in this course the announcements are visible. You can see that they've been using the announcements to provide tips of the weeks. You'll see here, as I mentioned, the course navigator section is all the information that is at that course level, information you might need all year long, and it's at that course at the highest level information. So when I click the scope and pacing, I may see my entire year mapped out on a calendar. Some courses have calendars, other courses provide PDF breakdowns for the scope and sequence. It could vary. Calendars make a nice interactive way for teachers to see their calendar year mapped out. Obviously, this is in the middle of summer, so we don't see too much there. But at the course level on all of your courses, you should find the key planning information. You should always find information about the standards that need to be covered. As we mentioned earlier, you're always going to find information about assessment information. If your course does have textbooks that are supported, you should always be able to look to get your textbook information. And again, in this top course level area, these would be resources that might be used at any time throughout the year. In the courses that do have units, you can click and see, in this course for example, they're broken down by units to carry you out through the year. The first unit being the beginning of the year, opening of the school year type of information, and then the units are broken down. And again, in this particular course, they've done a nice job of laying out all those units with the information primarily in the unit area. There's not currently any lesson plans on this particular unit, but in the future you may see lesson plans, or they may choose to completely support at the unit level. That varies from group to group. Here you'll see an example of how the math team has gathered key textbook resources and provided them with direct links to those resources. So if a teacher needs to come in and know what resources from the textbooks they might want to use in that unit, they can come in here, figure out what lesson they might want to cover during that unit, what resources might be able to be used. Some of these resources are going to be direct links to resources a teacher could use for whole group instruction or potentially share out as a Google Classroom assignment. A lot of different opportunities to use these links that are in here. And again, at the unit level, they have standard breakdowns, so these are very specifically the standards that need to be covered during that particular unit. The math team does a phenomenal job of laying out great resources broken down by what the academic need is, what type of resources. really nice job of breaking down the information for the teams. Again, when you get into your individual courses, the individual areas may look slightly different, but the concepts should be uniform. You should have that course level information. You should always find the breakdown of your standards. You should always have the scope and pacing available to you. If you have a textbook, you should have that key information. And one of the things that I mentioned before is about providing feedback on any of the courses in Blender. You should look to find the feedback option, and this is a form that you can fill out and send directly to the academic leadership at the district, and they're really eager to get your questions, concerns, comments. And again, this goes directly to the curriculum leadership, and these questions are doled out to the appropriate curriculum groups. So when you fill in your questions, it will ask you what subject are you asking about, and do you want a response. Really great opportunity for you to provide feedback that really educates the teams on what's important to the teachers. Also, a good place to reach out with suggestions for other content types and resources. So just kind of remember the overview of the courses, key information at the top. If your courses are broken down into units, you can always check here. And again, in a number of courses, you're going to find buttons or hotspots that will help you navigate that. And we'll take a look at that in the textbook course in just a few minutes. Another newer and somewhat overlooked feature in Blender is the ability for a teacher to add notes for themselves on select units and lessons. Not every unit and not every lesson will have the My Notes enabled, and if you find that you would like to have that functionality, you might want to add some feedback or reach out to the curriculum teams to see if they want to open up that option on your unit pages. In order to take a look at the My Notes functionality, we're going to take a look at the Algebra 2 course. On many of the units and lesson plans within Blender, you're going to find an opportunity for you to mark up your own units and lessons in a way that you can save and share your thoughts and sentiments or add to the units for yourself. So on Algebra 2 is an example of a course that has the My Notes enabled. I'm going to click into a unit, and I'm just in a unit that you can see they've gathered the critical information for that unit, direct links to specific lessons that are going to be covered in that unit, and here the lessons are provided in links over here, just because of the way that they were provided those from the Math Nation, and those links are going to take you out to lessons. But maybe I just wanted to make a note to myself that I worked through a lesson and I found something to be exceptionally valuable, and when I'm teaching this again next year, I want to remember that. So what I can do is I know that I want to remember that this particular lesson was extremely valuable. I'm going to go ahead and right click and copy that part of the lesson that I thought was extremely valuable. And I'm going to go ahead and add that to my notes for this particular unit. So this unit doesn't have any notes on it for me just yet, but I copied and I pasted what was important to me from that. Control V to paste to that particular piece of that lesson that was of value of me, and I'm going to leave a note to myself or to the person I want to share this with. This lesson was very useful. So the next time I come back to this unit, I can take a look at my notes and see if there was something specific I want to remember about that. And that's all it takes to add a note. I'm just going to add that in. I'm going to save it, and every time I come back to this unit, I'll have that reminder with the link to that part that I liked. So when I copy and paste the link, it just comes to my notes. And a nice easy way to remind yourself of important things with that. You can also add new resources. You can put additional things that you might want to add to that for your own personal purpose. And once you've created a note, you can actually share that with any other user in Blender. So you could search for a user by name. If you happen to know who a substitute is going to be for you, this is another great opportunity to make a note, and you could actually make an emergency plan or a sub plan and share that note with the sub, and they will get your notes and the link to that specific page. And I can go ahead and share that note with that person, and that person, when they go back to their home page, will have that on their shared notes. So circling quickly back to the home page, I'm going to go down and I'm going to check my notes. I'm not logged in as Jonathan Decker, so I would have the notes that were shared with this particular teacher. So as you can see here, there could be unit notes or lesson plan notes, and this particular teacher happens to have one note that was shared with them from Jonathan Decker. So you can see if you find something valuable in Blender and you want to add within my notes, it's a nice thing. And then it takes, if I click on that, it will take me to the unit that note was dropped on. Users also have the ability to save or bookmark individual pages in Blender as well. So if I want to bookmark or favorite a portion of a course, I can do that as well. So if I know that I'm going to frequent the ESOL resources in the ESOL secondary course, I can go to that course, and here you'll see an example of a hotspot. Clicking on that hotspot would actually take me to the ESOL resources unit. Once I'm on that unit, I can go ahead and bookmark that page that I'm on, and I'm going to add that to my bookmarks. And now you'll see the star, similar to what we saw in the course catalog, is highlighted. But now, rather than being a course on my home page, I am now going to have a bookmark in my bookmarks, because that's where I put it. Printing pages or portions of pages from within Blender is a generally accessible option. However, at the time of the filming, the printing functionality was being worked on for a summer as part of a summer update. And our last stop for our tour for Blender for today will be to take a minute to talk about the role Blender plays in providing information and access to instructional materials for both teachers and students. We've discussed previously that the teachers now get direct access to their assigned textbooks through the My Textbooks tab of the My Resources section. We also saw that on individual course pages there's a textbook information area that should have specific login information and other relevant information specific to an individual course. And one other resource that can be very valuable to teachers, especially teachers new to a particular class, is the district's textbook support course. In the district's textbook support course, you're going to find some basic information about how textbooks and instructional materials are adopted here in Palm Beach County. You can see the adoption schedule, and most importantly, you can get the course-by-course listing for what materials should come with your particular classes. Being that it's the summer, there is a little bit of year-to-year updating being done, but if you are teaching during a currently adopted subject, like science for example, you can come to the Blender Textbook Support course, click on your subject area, and there you'll get a course-by-course listing of what the primary instructional textbooks and platforms are that were adopted. Some of them you'll get direct access to the platforms right from this page, and on others, like in math for example, you can come to that page and then they have opted to have you get the link directly to that individual course. So if I'm a middle grades math teacher and I know I'm teaching this specific course code, then I know that I'm currently teaching from the Pearson and Vision material, and if I want to get additional information, I can click that link right on through to that individual course and get that specific textbook information that I need. It's also very important for you to know that students are provided access to the online textbooks via a Blender page as well. The students encounter the Blender page through their portal just like the teachers, but when they arrive on their Blender page, it's simply a list of their assigned textbooks. If at any time in your journeys through Blender you experience technical difficulties with either Blender pages or online textbook resources, there's an easy way to reach out right from within Blender. While navigating in Blender or on your online textbooks, if you ever find yourself in the need to review the content that we went over in this video or to reach out for technical assistance, help is as simple as reaching out to the help menu. If you'd like to go over the concepts that we just discussed in this video, you can click on the training center, and you'll get step-by-step walkthrough of all the resources and the materials that we just walked through on this video. And if you need to submit a support ticket, then simply click on support, pick your type of request that you'd like to submit. Your email will be automatically populated. Please give us a thorough description, tell if it's an urgent or a normal request, and as much background information as you can provide. If you feel screenshots would be helpful, we would really appreciate that as well. Please feel free to go and fill these out, hit submit, and a district representative as well as our Blender support team will be notified right away. We sure hope you now see how Blender plays an integral role here in the School District of Palm Beach County in helping teachers meet their instructional goals and making their jobs easier and allowing them to be more efficient on a daily basis. Thank you all very much for taking the time to walk through this orientation and introduction to Blender. If you'd like to reach out with any immediate or follow-up questions, please feel free to reach one of the Blender support team members shown here on the screen.